Hello, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World, coming to you on a Saturday. I'm, of course, your host, David. On point right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And today we're bringing you our episode of The Crossover, and where we're going to be previewing the final division before the NBA season starts up next week. I think it's Monday even. Like, it's for real, like, really soon. Like, the NBA is going to be there, like, in a snap of fingers. It feels like it just ended. It's about to be back. This is going to be our Pacific Division preview, the division that features the Golden State Warriors, the reigning, undisputed, commanding champions of the NBA. I couldn't come up with a third one. I tried to do the Paul Heyman thing. It did not work for me right there. TJ, welcome into the show, everybody. If you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Prime Sports World is a pretty good place to hang out. We go live every day, basically, bringing the most up-to-date content. Also, share the StreamYard link into all of the places. So if you want to join us and talk a little bit of NBA basketball, more than welcome to do so. Happy Saturday, TJ. What's up, man?
It's always a good day to watch college football and get drunk. So,
yeah. I'm gonna check out this new burger place that's right by my apartment that I haven't had a chance to go to yet. So I'm gonna check that out after this show is over, actually, for a little bit of late
Hey,
lunch. Yeah, because
okay.
I just got back from the gym, played some basketball, played pretty well, for me, you know,
Okay, for you.
I made 3 out of 5 shots, so I mean I'll live with it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
That's that's
yeah.
60%. Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
I can't hate it. Can't hate it. And they're all 3-pointers, so they were all the money shots.
All
So,
right.
but yeah, let's talk about the Pacific Division before we get into the individual team overview.
This is Golden States until it ain't Golden States no more.
That is
Like,
quite the quick overview. I totally agree. I for sure agree with you. I think
what did I say wrong? Did I say something
you're not
wrong?
wrong. You're not wrong. It's just there was quite the quick overview. Yeah, but I totally agree with you. I think there are some interesting teams in this division. I think it'll be interesting to see what the
Yeah.
drama is like in Phoenix after how that season ended last season and the DeAndre
Yes.
Ayton stuff. I will interested to see how the Clippers, if they can stay healthy, and the Lakers are a whole can of worms that we'll get into here in a few minutes. And Sacramento should be better. They had a pretty good offseason. Keegan Murray looks like a really good player. 4th overall draft pick, was really good in the summer league. So let's get into the first team. We go by record here. Prime Sports World. Oh man, pace. all right, get out of here. Go. She knocked my mic over. She put the slide back one, and she's having a morning. Starters: Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, DeAndre Ayton. Obviously, the starters for the Phoenix Suns, who had the best record in the NBA last season. Their key reserves: Cameron Payne, Cameron Johnson, Landry Shamet, Dario Saric, who's coming back off that ACL tear, missed all of last season, did not play. Torrey Craig, Bismack Biyombo, Josh Okogie, who they signed on the offseason, a low-key, really nice, sneaky good signing there for was part of the Minnesota Timberwolves last season. Head coach is Monte Williams, and their record last season obviously was 64-18, as I mentioned, best record in the NBA last season. So let's talk some storylines when it comes to the Phoenix Suns.
Well, we touched on one a couple weeks ago. Robert Sarver, he's no longer in the picture. He's selling the team. Kind of knew that was going to happen. I just didn't expect it to be
this fast.
As fast.
Yeah.
I
think the guy read the writing on the wall, and he was like, "Yeah, I better get out of here before it gets messy."
I did call that when we talked about him being suspended. I'm like, eventually he's going to have to sell the team. Did not expect him to be selling the team 2 weeks after we did that episode. The writing on the wall happened when PayPal, because last year they were sponsored by PayPal. PayPal was like, yeah, as long as you're affiliated with this team, we don't want nothing to do with you. And you didn't do it on purpose. Like you were like you in the group were like, oh, they'll get another one. I'm like, yo, that's not the point. Like it's like them getting another sponsor isn't the point. It's finding somebody to be the sponsor with him being affiliated with that team. Like that's the point.
Well, I think the LeBron James coming out and talking about it and Steph Curry. Yeah, I think that was a definite shift in the narrative because I thought I kind of thought that he might be able to keep this team based on what this Adam Silver said, but that's clearly not going to be the case. I was wrong on that one. 100%.
So like it's what you call it, the DeAndre Ayton stuff literally takes a back seat to this because like you can never really be at ease when you don't know who's going to be like basically who you're going to be working for going forward. Like Monty Williams, like what if they hire somebody who doesn't like Monty Williams, who's not doesn't like how he coaches. Like even if he does win, like I heard her. So it's a lot going on. Like obviously DeAndre Ayton that press conference was just all kinds of awkward. And again, like there's nothing worse than being in a situation where you're not wanted. And there's literally nothing he can do about it. He can't get traded to January. Like he's stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I for all the people saying like, oh, I wish I could be stuck with $100 million, don't matter. Like at the end of the day, like your peace of mind and your happiness, that trumps any value of money.
I mean, because the mental health is a big deal with all NBA players. I mean, Kevin Love has made tons and tons of money. He still struggles with his mental health.
DeMar DeRozan.
DeMar DeRozan, yeah, all these. I mean, they've come out and said, "Hey, yeah, our mental health is, it's we're human beings just like everybody else. Like, yeah, sure we make a lot of money, but it doesn't mean that we're not human beings. Like, it's just this narrative, the fact that because you make money, you're not allowed to have mental health. It's like, come on, it's ridiculous. I mean, because you make more money, just because it means you have different problems than other people.
Exactly.
Like,
I found it. I found it. I didn't know it was possible that getting down as big as 57 and then losing by 33 would be, on the back burner like it is. Like no one's even talking about that anymore because of Robert Sarver and because of.
Well, I mean the way the offseason kind of went with DeAndre Ayton as well. Yeah, I think there's. I mean, yeah, that press conference by DeAndre Ayton was rough, to put it nicely.
Was tough, man.
It was rough, man. Like if you ask that question, like I'm here. He didn't have any other, like it was not the best look there for this team. They did lose JaVale McGee, Alfred Payton, Aaron Holiday, Frank Kaminsky in the offseason. I also think one of the bigger storylines outside the DeAndre Ayton stuff is Chris Paul. Like he's kind of been like they've used him so much in the regular season to get this crazy record every season, and they basically burnt him out by the time the playoffs started. I look to see what his workload is going to be like if they're going to be trying to take him. Maybe he'll miss back-to-backs and like he won't play in over like maybe every other night, or he'll play like 50 games next season, because it's clear like Chris Paul, if you run him into the ground, he's going to get burnt out or get hurt in the playoffs. That's basically been the MO of Chris Paul the last 5 years or so.
That's what I was going with. Like it's Chris Paul is quote unquote the like everywhere he's gone, he's won.
Yeah,
right? Like,
I mean, I don't think he's missed the playoffs outside of like his rookie season when he was in, I think he was in Charlotte or New Orleans, wherever that team was.
His rookie year, maybe his second year, like he has not missed the playoffs all that much, right? Mm-hmm. He's improved. Like every team he's on, they improve like drastically. We kind of saw it like that first year in Phoenix. Like, who knows what happens if. Like, didn't he get hurt that year? Like in the finals?
He had some sort of injury. I think he caught COVID at one point. Or was that last year that happened? I don't remember. It was it's kind of hard hamstring or something, but he wasn't 100% by the time the season ended. It was pretty obvious like what happened. Like he was pretty run down by the time the season was over. And Drew Holiday completely outplayed him in that series.
It's kind of hard to keep track of because it's always something like he 2018, right? 2018 with the Rockets.
Yeah, hamstring injury. Oklahoma City. I mean, that team was just overachieved like hell. And then the Clippers. I mean, him and Blake Griffin basically took turns being injured during that lobs. Yeah, the lobs. So he's missed the playoffs twice in his whole NBA career. He missed 05, 06, and 06, 07 when he was in New Orleans. That's
so his first 2 years in the league.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? It's so like you got to kind of capitalize on that, and that kind of goes into their best case scenario, which is y'all got to win it all because that championship window with Chris Paul, like it's closing. And it's closing fast because these teams in the West, like they're getting better. Like you said, like the Clippers are coming.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, we'll talk about them in a few minutes, but like Clippers are here. Like I like as long as I can keep this healthy. I mean, you've seen the pictures of Kawhi Leonard. I mean, Clippers are here, and Golden State is the reigning champs. And Sacramento has some nice young pieces there on that roster.
Like forget, like you still got Memphis is on the come up. Minnesota trying to make some noise. Denver is healthy. All right, like this window is closing. It's closing fast. Luka is still Luka. All right, and as long as he is still Luka, you got to deal with that. And don't get me wrong, like your Game 7, you got embarrassed, man, on national TV in your house.
Yeah.
Right, like. So that has to make you feel some kind of way, right? And this is what we talk about, like with like pride. Somebody got to give a damn. Like that man single-handedly embarrassed at some point in time every member on your team, and nobody did nothing. Nobody did a thing. Like. I legit would have had to I don't care. I would have took the last dude on the bench who don't play. Hey, you know what? Hey man, just go knock him on his ass. Do something. Do something to somebody because they are just We are getting laughed at right now, bro.
We're getting chased out of the building here. Like we need to, yeah, that was not a good look for them. Yeah, my best case scenario, yeah, they got to win it all.
They got to win it
Their
all.
best case scenario is they win it all. Worst case scenario for me is they're the 5 seed in the Eastern Western Conference. I think when you look at the teams in the Western Conference, I think that could be better than them. I mean, Golden State, Memphis, Clippers,
yeah, Denver, maybe.
They're probably the 4 seed actually. Now that I think about it, I put Golden State, I put Clippers, I put Memphis ahead of them right now as it stands. They're the 4 or 5 seed in the Western Conference. That's their floor right now because they have a lot of talent. This is a deep team. I really like the low key signing of Josh Okogie. They got who can shoot, he can defend, he can make his own shot. He's a good basketball player.
Yeah, it's like the last 2 years. I mean, like 1 year you go to the finals, which that kind of like everybody tried to. Everyone wanted to say it was a fluke because like you get a Lakers team in the first round, they're just beat to hell, and they get more beat to hell. So you beat them, right? You catch a Denver team with just Jokic by himself, you sweep him, and then you catch a Clippers team, no Kawhi.
Still goes 6.
And it still goes 6. And you catch a Bucks team with Giannis literally injured. He was out there, he was playing, but you can clearly tell he wasn't the same.
At least in the first couple games. As that series went on, he for sure regained his form.
And like you got up 2-0 on them, and like Giannis was like, all right, let me pop a sensu bean for all my Dragon Ball Z fans out there, get healthy. And it's like, all right, let's play some ball now. Right, and
you got some of Michael Jordan's secret stuff. Space Jam reference.
all that stuff. You name it, he took it. Yeah, he went in the hyperbolic time chamber, all that good stuff. And then like you blow the 2-0. I mean, like you don't really blow a 2-0 lead. It's like I hate when people say that. Like, they blew a 2-0.
That's the way the series is supposed to go. You're supposed to win the first 2 games at home.
And at home. Yeah. And then so like to everybody else, like, yo, it's a fluke because you only won because this team was hurt, that team was hurt. And this team was hurt.
If Anthony Davis doesn't get hurt, they don't beat the Lakers. That's the spirit.
And you gotta keep in mind the Lakers are coming off of a third, basically a month off between seasons.
Yeah.
Right. You win the bubble. You win the bubble in like August, September, and then.
I mean, the Lakers still haven't recovered from that short span there. But yeah, I think that, Phoenix is going to be good. How good, we'll see. There still remains to be seen. Let's move on to the Golden State Warriors, who are the reigning champs in the NBA right now. Stars, obviously, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney. Their key reserves, Jordan Poole, Jonathan Kuminga, James Wiseman, Dante DiVincenzo, who they signed in the offseason, Moses Moody, Andre Iguodala, JaMychal Green, Steve Kerr is the head coach of this team. 53-29 was their record last season. As I mentioned, they were the 3 seed, I believe, going into the playoffs last season. They took down Portland. They took down Denver. Then they took down Memphis, and then they took down Dallas, and then they beat the Boston Celtics in the finals to be the Larry O'Brien Trophy winner. There are the subtractions. Obviously, they lost Otto Porter Jr., GP2, Wanda Toscano-Anderson, Damian Lee, Ben Licha, who went back overseas, and they drafted Patrick Baldwin Jr. I didn't list him on the graph because I don't know how much he's actually going to play on this team, and Ryan Rollins was another draft pick on this team as well. Storylines.
Can you repeat? Obviously, I think more of their storylines focus on off-season moves. Like, can you afford to keep the key pieces that are listed? Right? Can you afford to keep Wiggins? Can you afford to keep Poole? What's going on? Like, what are you going to do with Draymond Green? Because I don't see how you keep all of those guys and not go into the luxury tax. I already know
they're already in the luxury tax. We're talking about repeater tax area. They're like pretty close to like the hard cap. So I don't remember what that number is off the top of my head, but they're like really on the cusp of being at that hard cap. They're also they're like, so once you're in the luxury tax, I think for 7 years in a row, you get like a crazy tax penalty. So like everything is like, so if you sign somebody for like $1 million, like if you're in the repeater tax, it's basically like you signed that person for 7.
So, and that's tough. And don't get me wrong, like some of the contracts on their team, well deserved. Like Curry being back-to-back $200 million, getting $200 million contracts.
First player in the history of the league to have back to multiple contracts worth over $200 million.
Who doesn't deserve that more than him, right? Like
for sure. I mean, you put Golden State on the map. They don't have anything without him.
They really don't. And you got And for him to come from where he was to what he is now, like people forget Warriors fans weren't always high on Steph Curry. They were
Yeah,
like they were,
I mean, you remember what happened? Like when they traded,
my,
basically picked him over Monte Ellis. The
and
next night, you remember? Like the next night, they had what was it, Bill Walton, I think, was in the stadium, and they basically booed the starting lineup. And then he came out and like I think it was like right before the tip or something. And he was like, "Listen, this is not how we act as Golden State Warrior fans. I show some respect." Was it Bill? Who's the guy who used to shoot the free throws under like?
Rick Barry.
Yeah, Rick Barry, thank you. Yes, Rick Barry was the guy who came out and was like, "Yo, like this is not the way Golden State Warrior fans behave. Like, show some respect." And
Yeah.
ever since that, I mean, they basically been awesome. So, like,
Like I see the big story, a bigger storyline outside of like who do you pay, who do you and versus who do you let go is what are you getting out of Wiseman, what are you getting out of Kuminga, what are you getting out of Moody? Like those three dudes because they are like they're supposed to be your next big three, right? Curry, Clay, and Draymond, like they're closer to the end than they are the middle, right? Especially Clay and Draymond because they have just been beat to hell the last couple seasons. I don't know how much longer Clay can play with the injuries that he sustained. Like eventually, like that stuff takes a toll. And same thing with Draymond. Like Curry's ability to shoot is probably going to keep him in the game. I don't know how long, like until he doesn't want to play anymore.
sure, 100%. Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see what. So this team on paper should be fine. They should be, a top 5 seed in the Western Conference for sure. I think the more interesting storyline is, what they're going to do with this team after this season. Because, Draymond Green wants to get a max. I'm not sure he's worth that, but he's kind of earned it.
His argument, his argument is valid, right? Like you don't win 4 championships without me, but they also can use that literally like that 1 year with. Like you didn't have Steph, you didn't have Clay, you were it, and we picked second in the draft, right? Like same thing with Jordan, and this is like same thing with Jordan Poole, who's looking for max money. Like it's kind of hard to gauge you as to what you are because we saw you 1 year with Curry, like you're phenomenal because Curry and Clay came back. Those guys draw a lot of attention, which allows you to play free, but when we didn't have those guys and teams could literally key in on you, you weren't as effective. And we were picking second overall in the draft. So it's like this is kind of a make or break year for Jordan Poole. Like somebody gonna pay him. If the Warriors don't, somebody will pay him. He does have that going for him. Right? So he can go into the offseason like, hey, if the Warriors don't pay me, somebody gonna pay me. I don't know who that's
100%, yeah.
But somebody's gonna pay him.
Yeah. So best and worst case scenario when it comes to Golden State.
Best case, obviously you repeat. Repeat as champions. You win. That'll be 5 in 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5. That'll be 5 in 7 years. Like you're the new dynasty. Well, you kind of already are the new dynasty, but
I mean they're already there for sure.
Depends on who you ask. Like 5 and 7, that's up there with the Bulls. What is it, 6 and 8? Yeah, The only time the Bulls didn't win the championship was literally when Jordan wasn't on the team.
I mean, he was out playing baseball.
He was out playing baseball. So yeah, like 5 and 7 years, like that's impressive in its own right. Worst case scenario. What you lose in the finals?
Yeah, I mean, I think Western Conference Finals probably a little bit more realistic, other than losing in the finals. But this is a team this is a team that should be in a powerhouse in the Western Conference again this season. I think it'll be interesting to see, how Otto Porter and Gary Payton the second is replaced with kind of those young guys, Kuminga and Moses Moody, because it's going to be up to those guys to replace the production that they got out of those two guys, especially in the playoffs. So yeah, I think the worst case scenario is Western Conference Finals for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from the Golden State Warriors to I think what is probably the most interesting team potentially in the entire Western Conference. We got the Los Angeles Clippers finally healthy after a season where they lost Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs last season, didn't play at all last year. They signed John Wall on a pretty team-friendly deal. I think they're paying like $6 million this season, $6 million next season. John Wall, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Nicholas Batum, Ivan Zubac is the starting lineup for the Los Angeles Clippers.
No, it's not. Reggie Jackson starting.
Okay, whatever.
No, I'm serious. No, I'm serious. Reggie Jackson starting.
Okay,
I'm not saying like what I think should happen. Like, no, Reggie Jackson is the starting point guard for the Clippers.
All right. Well, their key reserves: Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Marcus Morris Sr., Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Amir Coffey, Tyronn Lue, the head coach of this team, 42-40 last season. They did not make it through the play-in tournament last season, so they did not make the playoffs. Let's talk some season storylines. For this team, they may be the deepest team in the NBA, and I know I talked a lot of smack about how important depth is in the NBA. Well, I don't remember what show we were even doing, but I was like, depth isn't all that important. But like when this Clippers team, you look at this Clippers team, like there's not a bad basketball player. They're gonna be every time they step onto the floor, they're gonna be putting somebody who's at least decent on the floor, and I think that there's some real value in that.
Yeah, well, obviously, like as the big issue is, they already dubbed them Run DNP because like the amount of games they don't play, right? John Wall, Kawhi Leonard, and Paul George, like it's the games they don't play. So like they are effectively Run DNP. So we got Run TMC, that was the old Golden State trio. And then you got Run DNP, like because these dudes just don't play games, and that's part of the reason why they missed at least the play-in tournament. Like you didn't have Paul George
out like 40 games last season.
Yeah, right. You didn't have Paul George like 40 or 50 games, and then like his second game back is an overtime game against the Bulls, where it's like that's what you don't want, dude. And you were up in that game, like you were up big in that game. You blew that lead to the point where it's like, God damn it! Now I got to put Paul George back in the game, and just to lose in overtime, right?
And he was a minute restriction. They basically played him over the minutes he was allowed to play. Like, yeah, it was an interesting turn of events.
Ty Lue was like, well, to hell with that minutes restriction because, like, obviously, like this team goes as Kawhi Leonard goes. Like, it's obvious. Like, when he's there. Like it's night and day. Like you are a championship contender. No disrespect to Paul George, but Paul George by himself, it's not enough. John Wall hasn't played meaningful basketball in like 3 years, so this is going to be good for him. And as much as you want to make him the starter, he's not.
I just put the graphic together, man. But
the way Reggie Jackson has been holding it down for the Clippers, especially coming off of last season, like where it was games like he was literally all they had. Paul George and no Kawhi. So Reggie Jackson, like, and talk about team friendly deals. This man could have got paid.
Yeah, he's on an extremely team-friendly deal. I think he's only making like $16 million a year. Like, it's a really team-friendly contract. A bunch of these guys are on pretty team-friendly contracts. Norman Powell's on a pretty decent contract. Yeah. Robert Covington's on a pretty nice contract for the team. I mean, Zubac is on a pretty John Wall. I mean, they're all these guys. And last season, you could make the argument Tyronn Lue may have done his best coaching job ever as a head coach. Like, the fact that they didn't have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard for 40 games and then Kawhi the entire season, and this team was still able to make the play-in. Like, that's a damn good job by Tyronn Lue. And now he's going to have a full complement of pieces there. This is a Clippers team that if I was a playoff team, like if they make the playoffs, which I think I don't want to see the Clippers, man. If I draw the Clippers in the playoffs, I'm going to expect to lose.
I do not want to see them at all. It's so like their second unit, forget their starters, like their second unit with John Wall and Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Marcus Morris, and Terrence Mann, like, or Luke Kennard, like, however you want to do that, like, that's going to be nasty. That's going to be disgusting. Like that is like that, and I want John Wall, like I want John Wall to be good, like I really do. Like you haven't played basketball in so long, like it's to the point I don't even know what happened with Houston, like because I've heard conflicting reports. Like I've literally heard Stephen A. Smith say that his insiders told him that it's not that Houston didn't want him to play. They just wanted him to come off the bench. And John Wall was like, no, I'm not coming off the bench. And they were like, well, if you're not going to do that, then you're not going to play at all. So just take the money and go home, which is exactly what he did. Right?
For sure. I mean, you got paid a bunch of money to not play in this.
I don't like the bigger storyline with this is you had Kawhi and Paul George for
3 years now. This will be the fourth season they've had those two guys together.
Going on 4 years, and granted, injuries happen, but you vastly underachieved, right? You blew a 3-1 lead in the bubble. You didn't make the following the bubble. Was that the year they went to the Western Conference?
Yeah, that's the year they went to the Western Conference Finals. And then last season they didn't even make the playoffs. But last season was kind of I want to say a throwaway season because of all the injuries.
But what I'm getting at is like Steve Ballmer, richest owner, he's the richest owner across all the sports net. Well, yeah, richest owner.
They're building a megaplex, and so they need a good product on the court to launch that new stadium. I hope it looks like that Overtime Elite Stadium. By the way, I don't know if you see pictures of that place, it is wild. Like for real, it's like playing in like the Tron universe for real.
So it's like, yeah, like it's like something's got to happen, because if you go into year 4, you don't at least make the finals and depending on what happens in year 5, this shit getting blown up, man. Like it's gonna happen, right? Like,
I don't think so. I think as long as there's a new stadium being built, they're not going to trade any of this.
Like it's gonna be back to the drawing board eventually. I don't know. Like you gotta make leaps and bounds. Like you gotta basically quote unquote overachieve. And I don't know how you overachieve with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on your team. Like, but because of them not always being there, like I guess it is an overachievement. Like if you go from play-in to finals, like that's an overachievement because these guys haven't been there, man. Like it sucks.
It's easy to say they for sure have underachieved. Like I know that based on the fact that those guys haven't been there, sure they've overachieved. But yeah, this is a team that's we expected to see them in the finals already by now. They haven't done it.
We expect them to have at least one chip by now.
Yep,
at least one.
I think this might be the season. But best case scenario when it comes to the Los Angeles Clippers,
win it all.
Yeah, I think their best case scenario is they win the Larry O'Brien Trophy. I'm pretty high on this Clippers team. I love the pieces. I think I know I made a big deal about depth not being that important, but this is a team that's deep. Like they have a lot of really good basketball players. Like they get an opportunity to not put a bad player on the floor every single night, and there's not every team in the NBA can say something like that. Not every team
can do that.
Yeah, for sure. Worst case scenario when it comes to the Clippers,
playing another injury-riddled season. All right, which is what you don't want. I think if one of those guys get injured again, you gotta have that conversation. Like, hey, I paid you this, but I moved heaven and earth to get you here. I paid you the moon and the stars to get you here. My return on investment is not happening. Right.
Yeah, and both of those two guys in particular are locked up for a while under basically max contract. So we'll see what ends up happening with the Clippers. Yeah, I think they're going to be good this season. So we'll see. Moving on to the fourth team in this division, it's the Los Angeles Lakers, who are the most interesting. Like everybody talks so much about them, it's just insane. Starters: Russell Westbrook. I have Dennis Schroeder there because I really wasn't sure who was going to start at the 2 guard for them. It might be Patrick Beverley, to be totally honest with you. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Thomas Bryant. Their key reserves: Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn, who did not play at all last season for some reason. I know he was injured, but I don't understand why he could never stepped on the floor. Austin Reeves, Juan Cisano Anderson, who they signed in free agency. Damian Jones, they signed in free agency. Gabriel, and then Lonnie Walker, the fourth. Who's somebody they signed at free agency as well. Darvin Ham is the new head coach of this team, hired as an assistant coach under Mike Budenholzer there in Milwaukee. They were 33-49 last season. They did not even make the play-in last year. They were probably the most disappointing team in the NBA last season by far. Season storylines when it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers. First of all, LeBron James, year 19. What is he going to look like? How is he going to play? Year 20. Yes, sorry, year 20. How is he going to play? What's he going to look like? How many games is he actually going to play this season? How many games does he need to play in order for this Lakers team to even be somewhat competitive? Because he's the only player on this team that I have any faith in whatsoever right now. on this roster, the entire roster.
It's
like if LeBron misses 20 games this season, they will not make the playoffs.
Well, it's a bigger the bigger season storyline is not LeBron James, because LeBron James in year 20 should still not be your success should not be made or broke
on LeBron James.
On the back of LeBron James. So the bigger storyline here is Anthony Davis, and it's not close. You were pegged to be the next guy. You were pegged to be the next Laker great big man, right? When you think of the Lakers and their history of great big men, like they're supposed to, you were supposed to be the next Mantle, right? Wilt, Shaq, like you were supposed to be thrown in that conversation, right? You have not done that. Like, you can literally say the only reason you won the championship was because you got 4 months off to get healthy.
Yep.
Right?
They don't win the championship without that particular element.
Like, without the pandemic, without the COVID shutdown, the Lakers as a team do not win the chip because they were already hurt. Like, I don't care that LeBron did this to Giannis and then he followed up by doing it to another good player. It's like, no, without a healthy AD and that team, like, they would have got their ass bounced in the playoffs.
I mean, that's exactly what happened when he went down against the Phoenix Suns series. Like the year after that, they got knocked out of the playoffs. They were up 2-1, and they never won another game after Anthony Davis got hurt. You're 100% right. I mean, Anthony Davis has to be that dude on this team. Like,
he has to be the guy.
Like, he has to be the best player on this team. And everything else, if he becomes the best player on this team, everything else on this roster makes a lot more sense. Like, because they can rely on Russell Westbrook to be Russell Westbrook. They don't need Russell Westbrook to be Oklahoma City Westbrook. Like, he can be just a good player on a good team if Anthony Davis is the best player on the team, because they cannot expect Russell Westbrook to carry them through this season. He's just not that guy anymore.
No, he's not. And again, like, everybody wants to pin like the last season, like, oh, it's all Russell Westbrook's fault. How's it his? Like, he
just didn't fit on that roster. Like, he just doesn't fit. His play style doesn't fit with everything else on this roster.
What's his fit?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what his fit is on any team in the league right now.
No. Don't say any team in the league right now. We're talking about the team he's currently on. Everybody said he didn't accept his role. He doesn't fit in. A, what's his fit? And B, what's his role? How can I accept my role when the two guys who I'm supposed to play under ain't fucking here? You want me to be the third option? How can I be the third option when the option 1 and 2 not on the court consistently? How? Yeah. How am I not accepting my role when LeBron and AD not here? I can't be the third option.
Well, especially Anthony Davis. I mean, LeBron James averaged 30 points a game last season. I think he played like over 50 games, which isn't, is what it is, I guess. He played 56 games last season.
So, and again, right? So LeBron putting up 30. All right, that's fine. That's cool, right? Get that. It wasn't even Westbrook's fault that it was literally just the roster around. You signed Westbrook and Rondo, and you had the nerve to play them at the same time. Two dudes who can't shoot all that well. So it's like, I don't have to worry about spacing.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't have to worry. Like, it was just the roster. Like, everybody wants to pin
that roster construction made zero sense from the beginning. And the Lakers never should have traded for Russell Westbrook. They should have made the Buddy Hield trade, which was on the table. People had the reports that made Buddy Hield, and that he would have fit better on this team than Westbrook did. But LeBron pushed for the Westbrook trade, and the rest is, as they say, history. And now they're kind of stuck with him because nobody's trading for him unless they buy him out. LeBron James played most minutes in this season than he did his second to last season in Cleveland, 2016, 2017. He logged more minutes this season.
And again, like, I've been saying this since Jump Street, right? If life with Russell Westbrook is just that terrible, if it's that unbearable, forget all of that. Just cut him.
It doesn't make their team better if they just remove him from the situation.
I don't care. No. So if I'm Westbrook in his camp, I say this, right? Apparently apparently it's all my fault. So if again, if life with me is that unbearable, if it's that terrible, cut me. Let's see. Cut me. Cut me. Let's see how bad. I don't care if another team don't pick me up. Y'all said I was the problem. I ain't gotta play for nobody else. I'm good.
I'm telling you, it would if this season doesn't go well for the Los Angeles Lakers and it's the same kind of narrative. Russell Westbrook, he might not play next season.
Like so, like y'all gonna and like this whole thing, like him and not accepting his role, like he is like what literally this is 2.0 of this. Like we literally saw this happen with Melo. Right, Melo went through the same thing, and now we're watching like, and it's just blatantly disrespectful how they're doing it. Right, I don't like they on Undisputed. Everybody messes up in the league, right? Everybody has turnovers. Russell Westbrook was the only player they made a blooper reel for on Undisputed.
That's true.
Do you know how disrespectful that is? Like. Do you?
They can literally do that for every player in the NBA.
You can literally do that for every player in the NBA. He's the only one that gets singled out. All right. So again, if life with me is that unbearable, if it's that miserable, if you think just removing me makes your team all that much better, then by God, do it. So like I'm on the fence. Right. I want one or two things to happen. I want them to trade him or get rid of him. Right, because you get rid of him. Problem solved, right? That means you get rid of Westbrook, y'all should be title contenders out the gate.
Moving on from Westbrook. The small thing, I think him and Patrick Beverley on the same team is going to be extremely interesting, if not toxic as hell at times, because they don't reportedly like each other all that much. Although, by the way, have you seen the video of when Darvin Ham was having his introductions? His press conference. He was talking about sacrifice, and Russell Westbrook's face when he mentioned sacrifice, it's priceless.
Because it's like it's the same thing over and over again, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. But like on top of that, like this roster's just not good. Like outside of their starting lineup, which is all over the place, anyways. Like we don't know who the starting shooting guard is going to be. We don't really know who the starting center is going to be. I mean, outside of that, like this roster just doesn't have a lot of like good pieces on it. Like it's just a bunch of like they don't have any good they don't have good bench players. Like Austin Reeves is fine, but he's nothing special. Juwan Anderson couldn't crack the rotation in Golden State. Now they're expecting him to be like a pivotal piece on their rotation. Troy Brown Jr. barely played for the Bulls, and he's on this team. This is a roster that like it's just not a good team at all. Like I don't know like what people are expecting out of the Lakers this season. Like they just don't have a good roster.
All right, well, I'm on the notion of can they at least play like they were before Westbrook even signed before the deal even went down. It was like when it was just a rumor of Westbrook being traded to the Lakers. They're like, oh, it's not gonna fit. I'm like, damn, can they play first?
Well, I think we've seen the writing on the wall there that it was not a good fit.
Can they play? It's the same thing, right? You don't think they have good pieces? Can they play first? Can we see the product on the court first?
Sure. Best case scenario when it comes to Los Angeles Lakers.
Best case scenario, because you have LeBron James, and LeBron James equals championships. Obviously, Laker fans think, you got to win the title.
Please.
Right? Like obviously, like I noticed I said Laker fans, Laker fans, and LeBron fans. All right, it's championship or bust here. We're the Lakers. Shut up. Shut the hell up. Right, please. But realistically, your best case scenario, because you missed the playoffs altogether last year, that's the best case scenario. Be a solid playoff team, 1 through 6. You're one of those seeds.
Their best case scenario is they're a play-in team. Let's be real. Like let's not mince words here. This is a Laker team that on paper, the roster not good. The aging LeBron.
Saying that, like, can they again?
All right, fine.
Say what you want.
I said on paper.
And but you still believe it.
Sure, I'm allowed to believe whatever I want, man.
You are.
All right. Yeah. But yeah, on paper, the roster LeBron, you're 20. You're gonna be relying on Anthony Davis. Who knows? Street clothes, as they like to call him on inside the NBA. Yeah, they're a playing team. Let's be honest here.
What I didn't like was like, okay, so like the big three, Westbrook, AD, LeBron, they played 21 games collectively together, and they went what was it, 10 and 11, 11 and 10 in those games. Oh, it didn't work. It wasn't even 21 games consistently. It wasn't 21 games straight.
Well, a lot of that is on Anthony Davis because his inability to stay healthy for a long period.
It was a sporadic 21, dude. Like, can we get?
Let's talk worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario
on the other side of this.
Worst case scenario, it's more the same of what you just went through, right? And you missed the playoffs again, right?
Yeah, that's for sure the worst case scenario. They don't improve. They just kind of because they don't have control over their own draft picks at all. Like the worst case scenario is they'd be like the worst team in the NBA. Like that would literally be the worst case scenario, for real.
And now like they're still talking about a Buddy Hield and Miles Turner deal, and it's just like you should have pulled the trigger on that months ago.
Yeah, for sure. But before the training camp, because now you're going to try to, if you do make some sort of trade at this point, you're going to try to implement those players into your roster like 2 weeks before the season. I just don't think that's going to end well.
You should have did that. Yeah, you should have did that months ago. Like, I don't know what you're waiting on. Like, I don't like this. Like, Westbrook, it can't, like, his stuff can't be the hold up that you think it is, right? Because I guarantee you, like, he is not going to hinder the development of a Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana. Like he's just not going to do that.
I think the argument here is the Pacers would trade for him and then immediately buy him out. Like he wouldn't. I don't even think he'd play for the Pacers if that did happen. Any team that trades for Westbrook, I think is going to immediately buy him out. Like if the Spurs for some reason trade whatever they have left for whatever is in play,
the issue with that is like, okay, who do you have that I want? Who do you have that I want?
The Spurs? Who knows? I mean,
exactly.
I can't even think of a guy I would trade. I wouldn't trade Russell Westbrook for anybody on the Spurs, but that Buddy Hield, Miles Turner trade, I would do that in a heartbeat if I was Lakers.
Then why isn't it done? Why isn't it done?
I mean, the Pacers might not want to. The Pacers might not want to.
No. They want to. They want those two future first.
But those are the most valuable trade assets in the NBA right now.
And they are not. Like those, one of those draft picks is not until 5 years from now. And
2027, 2029. Those are the most valuable. Those are the most valuable draft picks in the NBA right now.
So like if I'm the Lakers and all we do if it's really championship or bust, you don't let two draft picks, 1 5, 1 7 years down the road, hinder you from winning the championship.
I think the argument of why they don't want to trade them is this double draft is coming at some point. And so they want to hold on to those draft picks because it could be 5 years. We're talking about 5 years from now where we're seeing that implementation of the straight from high school to the pros. And that we're going to have one draft where it's going to be first year college, the guys that would have been for like one and dones in college plus the high school kids in the same draft. And that's going to be the deepest draft in the history of the NBA. At some point, and those draft picks are the most valuable trade asset in the NBA right now. Moving on to the Sacramento Kings.
I ain't trying to hear that shit.
It's true.
I ain't trying to hear that.
Starters. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, like if you're the Lakers and if it's really championship or bust, I don't give a damn about this double draft. Why? Because I'm gonna have Buddy Hield, AD, and Miles Turner for the foreseeable future, and I can literally that's something I can build off of. Yeah, I don't care about a double. I don't care about some 18-year-old who I'm probably gonna have to stash in the G League and who's not even gonna be able to play right away because I'm the Lakers and it's championship or bust. And some 18-year-old, unless he's Kobe Bryant, is not gonna help me win the championship.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, but that's from NBA insiders that those two draft picks, the Lakers don't want to trade, are the most valuable trade asset that the Lakers have by far. Starters going on the Sacramento Kings. Starters: Darren Fox, Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes, Keegan Murray, who had a very good summer league showing. Domantas Sabonis, who they traded Tyrese Halliburton for and Buddy Hield in the trade deadline last season. Key reserves: Davion Mitchell, Malik Monk, who they signed from the Lakers, Terrence Davis, Trey Lyles, Rashawn Holmes is a really good floor spacer 4 or 5 guy. Matthew Dellavedova is for some reason still in the NBA somehow. I'm shocked.
I swear to God, I thought he was back in Australia.
Like I think he just came back over. And then I'm not going to try to pronounce that name. So and then Alex Len, Ken Bazemore, and KZ Okopala. Mike Brown is the new head coach of this team. Record last season.
Yeah.
Mike Brown is the head coach of this team. Record last season 30-52. Did not make the play-in. Did not make the playoffs. Season storylines when it comes to Sacramento.
Okay, so what's his name? First off, shout out to the Seattle Mariners. You know, they clinched the playoff spot, right?
I guess.
No. The Seattle Mariners clinched the playoff spot. First time in 21 years, the Seattle Mariners made the playoffs. For context, I am 28. David's 50. No, I'm joking. David's what, 32, 33?
34.
34. David's 34. The best player on the Mariners, Julio Rodriguez, is 21. Now, why did I bring up a baseball team when this is a basketball podcast? Because now the Sacramento Kings are, across all major sports, they have the longest playoff drought. Across all major sports, the Sacramento Kings do. That is theirs by themselves. They own it. The last time the Sacramento Kings made the playoffs, Brad Miller was on the team. It's been a long time.
And now Brad Miller hosts a charity golf outing in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Did not know that, but more power to you, Brad Miller. You were awesome. You were awesome when you were a Bull. You really were.
He has a marijuana line that is doing very well, apparently.
Oh, I'm gonna have to smoke that Brad pack. I'm gonna have to do this. But it's a fan base. Well, Sacramento, like historically, it's a tough place to play. I don't know what it is, but it's a tough place. Like Sacramento it's a tough place to play. Like dating back to like the early 2000s to when they were actually really, really good. They are still stuck on the year 2000 because they feel like they got holes.
They did.
Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Like, who knows? Like, the bottom line is one team had Kobe and Shaq. You didn't. Nonetheless, you feel like you got robbed, right? Season storyline. Can you finally at least be interesting?
The Sacramento's always interesting, but for all the wrong reasons. like Luke Walton, the dumpster fire of a head coach. This team is just constantly just all over the place. And Darren Fox has been a pretty good player, but because he's on the Sacramento Kings, nobody really has noticed how good he's been.
Yeah, like he was supposed to be in like an all-star a couple years ago, and it's like, no, dude, you're putting up 25 and you've won like 10 games, so you're not an all-star. It's like, again, he was in that Zach LaVine, Karl Anthony Towns, Devin Booker boat. Like, you're putting up gaudy numbers.
Yeah. On terrible
team.
And not to mention his efficiency's gone into the toilet. Like he's been wildly inconsistent as a shooter. His percentages are down across the board because his shot selection's gotten iffy at best at times.
Right, and it's now your starting five is, I'd watch that. Right, nice. Darren Fox, Kevin Huerter. So you got shooting out the gate. Kevin Huerter, Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is a nice spot up shooter. Same thing with Kevin Huerter. Keegan Murray is he headlines your draft. 4th overall pick. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
So a lot of people felt like they should have gotten Jaden Ivey.
Actually, he might have been the 3rd overall pick.
Either way, they feel like they should have gotten Jaden Ivey. But that's why the couch GMs fourth. That's why the couch GMs are that. You're a couch GM. It's not on you to build the team. Like it is what it is. You mid-season acquisition of Domantas Sabonis. So that two-man game between De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis for a 482, That's gonna be nasty. That's gonna be so nice.
I do agree with you. It's going to be nasty, but like after even I know it's hard to implement players in the middle of the season. Now they get a whole off season to work on it. Like after they traded for the Sabonis last season, they got worse. But you know there's some other factors in that we don't really play in effect here. Darren Fox didn't play much down the stretch down last season, so like it's a little bit iffy if like what they would have been like if he had been like all of those guys have been healthy. But yeah, it should be an interesting combo. Should be a combo that pushes them towards playoff contention.
Mm-hmm. I was like the big one, the big mess last year was the log jam at the point guard position, right? You had Darren Fox, you had Tyrese Halliburton, and then you go ahead and draft Davion Mitchell, where it's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right? And you still don't like the fact that they traded Tyrese Halliburton for Domantas Sabonis, but I think it works out for both teams, right?
I mean, I guess. I mean, if Tyrese Halliburton, who goes on to do what it appears he's going to do, it's a terrible trade because they had control. They had control over him for 7 more seasons where they didn't have to worry about him going anywhere. They could have, suspended him, and it doesn't make any sense. I don't necessarily like trading away a guy who's that young and that has that much potential for a guy who's only got 2 years left in his contract that they're eventually going to have to re-sign.
And if you don't re-sign him, he walks away. Like you lose him for nothing.
Correct.
I think another storyline is Mike Brown. Like Mike Brown, albeit black head coach, got a job, woohoo! But he's a recycled head coach, and we're like, how many times are you gonna dust off the same old names before you give somebody new, like somebody like legitimately new, not old face, new place, new, like give somebody like the Jazz coach. Nobody ever heard of him. Who the hell was that guy before? Like he's somebody's assistant.
He was Udoka's assistant last season.
And then it's it's literally like, all right, when you hire a dude to be a head coach, it's like who? Like that you need that kind of new. Like that's the.
Well, I think the Sacramento is like you kind of need to have name recognition when it comes to the coach of your team because nobody cares about Sacramento. Huh? Like Mike Brown at least gives them some name recognition.
But here's the thing: like they tried the name recognition thing with Luke Walton, didn't work.
Oh, I don't think Luke Walton has quite the cachet that Mike Brown has. Mike Brown coached in the finals,
and he hasn't been back since.
I mean, not as a head coach, at least. I mean, he's been there with Golden State Warriors. I mean,
but not as a head, right, not as a head coach, right? Like, so it's, I mean, like everybody, like it's real easy to coach when LeBron James is on your team. Like I'll like forget what everybody's talking about. Yeah, it may be hard because expectations are elevated, but that dude literally makes everything
easier. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Infinity times easier. So yeah, right. It's tough, right? Like he has his work cut out for him because let's not forget Mike Brown filled in for Steve Kerr because Steve Kerr has some health issues, and he filled in for Steve Kerr in a pivotal time, right? He filled in for Steve Kerr in the playoffs, right? Like this is where you make your money. And one of those playoff games coached by Mike Brown, the Golden State Warriors lost by 50, like literally, right? like nothing changed. Like Steph Curry did play, Klay Thompson played, Wiggins played, Jordan Poole played, Draymond Green played, Andre Iguodala played. You lost by 50. Like you ain't changed nothing. You ain't say, all right, I'm not going to implement what Steve Kerr does. I
don't. Ja Morant didn't even play in that game, right?
Ja Morant did not play in that game.
Yeah, they still got beat by 50 points.
You lost by 50, and it's not like he said, "I'm going to." Well, Steve Kerr wants us to do this. Nix that I'm going to run what I run. And it's like he didn't do that. Nothing changed. Just the coach. You lost by 50. Like it was not a good stretch. It was not a good stretch for Mike Brown. Like. It was literally rumored and reported that if the Kings were still looking for a job because of that 5 to 7 game stretch that Mike Brown did, if the Kings were still looking for a head coach, they would have pulled his name out They were like, well, we don't want that.
Yeah, I've definitely for sure heard that rumor. Let's talk best and worst case scenario when it comes to Sacramento.
You finally make the playoffs. Finally make the playoffs.
I think their best case scenario is their play-in team. I think, I just look at the 6 teams that I think are locks basically for the top 6 spots in the Western Conference. I just don't think they're better than any of those teams. Right,
No.
they're not better than the Clippers. They're not better than Golden State. They're not better than Memphis. They're not better than Phoenix. They're not better than Dallas. They're not better than Denver. They're 6 right there. They're not better than New Orleans. They're not better. I mean,
it's tough. It's tough.
Like, it's for real. Like, they're a play-in team at their best case scenario. Worst case scenario when it comes to Sacramento.
Same boat, same fight, different round.
Yeah, they're going to miss the playoffs, and we're talking about them next season as, like, we really like the pieces on their roster, but none of them seem to click, and eventually they're going to have to blow this up. For real. Like, we're probably talking about Darren Fox being like a Knick next season. Maybe. Or if they don't hit the ground running before the trade deadline, look for Darren Fox to maybe be a Knick then. Because he's probably the next guy to get moved, and the Knicks still have assets.
No, they don't.
they do have assets. Don't be silly. They have 3 first-round picks in next year's draft.
Then say that. Don't say they have. Don't say
that's an asset. Those are assets. Those are for sure assets. Like,
it's like
4 first-round picks actually in next year's draft. So they have assets. Let's not pretend like they don't have some assets.
It's going to be the same fight, just a different. Okay, you get these future first-round picks. You're still in the same boat. You have a young team that's not going to be any good.
They might be 40 years before they make the playoffs. So we'll see what ends up happening. I think Sacramento's going to be better than the Lakers, though. Like, I would put money. I think the Sacramento's going to have a better record than the Lakers.
I'm willing to put money on that.
The Kings would have a better record.
That the Lakers. I'm putting money on the Lakers like that. I would literally bet you money on that.
We'll talk in the group chat because I'll put some jelly beans on that. The Sacramento has a better record than the Lakers next.
Oh my God! Like,
let's chat. But yeah, that's been our Pacific Division preview. This has been the crossover presented by Prime Sports World. I've been David Huppin. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. Please like, share, and subscribe to the show. Enjoy your college football and enjoy some sauce, man. Have a good time. What are we doing here?
You are just disrespectful. You got to go to grandma's house. You are just so damn disrespectful. Like, you was raised so much better than this. Like, you was raised so.
Anyway, DJ, what we do here at the Prime, my friend?
No, forget that. You are disrespectful, right?
That's one thing we do at the Prime. We be disrespectful as hell.
Like that is, oh my God!
We will see you guys later. We may or may not have a show tomorrow. I got some stuff going on, so we'll see what ends up happening.
And you said that with a straight face too, right? Like, you were serious with it.
Yeah, I'm serious. We'll talk in the group chat. I will see you guys maybe tomorrow, for sure on Monday. You guys all have a good weekend. Peace out. And we bring the heat here at Prime Sports World, TJ.